This episode of Empty Betters is brought to you by DraftKings. The NBA 82 game grid is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for the high stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30 points, 40 or more? It's your call. Here's something special for first timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 263 of Empty Betters. I am your host, Harrison Scholes, and I'm going to toss it across my screen to my co-host, Mr. Nick Manella. What's going on, my friend?
Oh my goodness, what did we just witness over the weekend, gentlemen? I'm going to save it for when we get into this, but that might be the best weekend of playoff hockey I have seen in a very, very long time.
That's my round of applause for the NHL this weekend because that
Yeah.
was a treat for not only hockey fans, but sports fans. And before we get into all of that, I am now going to toss it across the screen to my other co-host, Mr. Mac Vogel. What's going on?
There are people around this nation who watched the Golden State Warriors play the Houston Rockets instead of that hockey game last night. I just want to say that because it's sad. It's unfortunate. And my heart goes out to all those people with that NBA mental illness. So
Yes, the new age sports civil war, if you will, NBA playoffs versus NHL playoffs. I think the NHL won this weekend. If you know, you know. We'll talk about it here soon. But man, guys, we just got a treat. That was truly like can't miss A plus national recognition online type hockey. And I don't know which one you guys want to start with. Which game should we do first?
Oh my God. I feel like we have to go with the one from last night just because it's fresh in the mind. Winnipeg and St. Louis. I mean, this was like watching three different hockey games in one, it felt like.
It was insane. It was game seven in Winnipeg. If you don't know, spoiler alert, the Winnipeg Jets end up winning the game 4-3 in double overtime. And whoever the scriptwriter was for this one, man, give that person a raise because that was probably, and I say this truthfully, probably the greatest single game comeback in a hockey game I've ever seen.
It's just nuts. I mean, the fact that, like what I texted you guys last night or this morning, I forget, it's, prior to this weekend, only three teams in the NHL had ever come back from a multi-goal deficit in game seven to win the game. And then we get it Saturday, Sunday for numbers 4 and 5 back to back. That is just insane. But Harry, I agree. That's got to be the best comeback or finish to a game seven ever, probably.
just an instant classic game. I feel like we're all
Absolutely.
gonna like remember where we like I can already see the Instagram graphic like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, being like on this day in hockey history, the Jets erase a 2 goal deficit with under two to go, and we're all gonna be like, "Yep, I remember watching that."
They're just like if and when they ever move on from Perfetti or they like trade him or something, that's gonna be the thing that like they put saying thank you next to him or something like that.
Crazy thing is that guy had to fight for the bridge deal he got this past offseason.
Yep.
He's only on a 2-year deal. They didn't want to ink him up, and now he does this. It's like, pay up, buddy. Next offseason, you're going to be back in the truck up. But it was a crazy game. Like Nick said, it felt like three different games in one. We all know game six, the Blues shit pumped the Jets, and everyone was like, Connor Hellebuck sucks. And we got two horrendous goals let up by Hellebuck in the first 10 minutes of the game
I think all three they let in. I
Yeah.
didn't I
were
didn't like any
bad.
of them. I didn't
Yeah,
like any of them.
they
Do
were
you
bad,
know the Muffin Man?
literally.
Yeah, the second one was probably the worst, but
Yeah.
You guys texted it in the group chat. I got other people texting me after the second goal. It was like maybe five shots on net, and everyone was saying, "You got to yank Hellebuck. You got to get him out of the game. This
yeah.
is embarrassing."
Credit to Arneal because I think if you do, they lose. There's no
Probably.
way.
Probably.
There's no. I think in hindsight, like the team just would have known it was kind of over type thing. Like it's a panic move, and I think by not doing it, he kind of maybe even instilled a more confidence of the group, just of like it's fine, we're fine. It's two goals, go out there, it's fine. Now I also think Hellbuck deserves a ton of credit for the way he played in the
Yes.
third period and both overtimes.
That's a great
He,
point. He battled
he
back, he
settled
locked
in.
in, and you could see it with the Jets players. I mean, even I thought it was really interesting, going into intermission, you could tell he is like dejected. You can tell he's
Yep.
pissed off. They're slapping him on the back. They're trying to fire him up going into the tunnel. But that hug, like that dog pile on him at the end of that game, you could see how
Yeah.
much it meant to all those players that he just
Yes.
buckled down, locked in, and just shut that shit down in overtime.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 2-0 going into the first intermission, and then Cole Perfetti, he showed like foreshadowing for the night, I guess. Had a sick little Crosby chop deflection goal on the power play. And then Radek Faksa I think it was the end of the second, maybe the start of the third, I can't remember exactly, but he put a dagger in Winnipeg. And I was about to text you guys,
End of the
good night.
second. There's
Yeah.
30 seconds left or something, and that's like I don't know what's worse, either that or first minute of the third period. Either way, you're in trouble. But it sucks because it changes the entire like momentum right
Yes.
before the break. And your coaches are already thinking about what they're gonna say, what the speech is. Okay, we got to get one goal. What do I say to these guys at this break? And then bang, it's like, oh shit, now I have to rethink my whole strategy because now we need two. And it's
Yeah.
just it's hard. But yeah, I can't I still can't believe that we live in a reality where the Winnipeg Jets won that game. I
It's
thought
crazy.
the Puck Empire post really put it in perspective where it was like we were 2.2 seconds away from this reality, and it's like all the graphics about how bad Hellebuck was and
Yep.
how the Blues are moving on and President's Trophy curse and all this stuff, and then he had to just unschedule all of it because he was like, oh, actually, don't need any of that.
Right. That's
Yep.
crazy, man. I mean, the footage of Jets fans going nuts, the footage of Blues fans. Oh my God, my heart goes out to you. You were 1.6 seconds away. I mean, you were that close, but that's how it goes in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And just the sequence for the tying goal was wild. Like Ehlers fans on that shot. I'm like, okay, that's it. It's over. I was like, this thing's getting out
I
of the
thought he
zone. It's
broke his stick too.
same. Yeah. Then it gets like worked all the way over. Connor kind of fans on the shot too. I don't know if you guys caught that, and it just goes right to Perfetti. And I mean, credit to him. I thought he was gonna miss that thing high for a hot second.
There's a few things too that people are critiquing the Blues on. Like number one, when the puck gets dumped in, which it when it comes out, I thought that was going to be it. Honestly, it
Hmm.
comes out of the zone with like just over 20 to go or something. They quickly dump it back in. Some said Binner should have come out and stopped that puck. Instead, he lets it rim around, the defenseman gets to it, but then he coughs it up. Whatever. I thought it's an interesting play. You're watching on that left side of the screen, Buchnevich. He's covering the point man like he's supposed to as a winger. And when that puck goes up to Ehlers, for when he fans on it, and then when it gets back to him again, like 2 seconds later, Buchnevich keeps getting sucked in down low. There's already like three Blues players down there. And I know there was a little bit of a like skirmish. He's maybe thinking he needs to go in and help dig the puck out or something. But I mean, if he stays up by Ehlers, doesn't happen.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of people talking about that on Twitter. I saw a bunch of people saying like, "Hey, under 5 seconds, just body slide at the puck carrier because who cares at this point?"
True. Yeah.
Just lay
Yeah.
down in front of him. Like I feel like if someone penguin slid in front of Connor, that's not getting through. So, could, would, should, but not enough.
Yeah. And I like, in case you didn't watch the game, all this happened in under 2 minutes. The tying goal that the boys just talked about, I think the Jets scored it with like 1.6 seconds left or something like that. But the goal to cut the lead from 3-1 to 3-2 from Nemesnikov, that was such a weird bounce. I don't know if you guys saw that it deflected off, I can't remember who, but it like deflected off a shaft.
Ryan Suter.
Yeah, man, that when that happened, I was like, oh boy, we got a game here. And then you see how it happens, and it's like it's meant to be almost at that point.
Yep. What's
Uh,
interesting
in
too
hindsight.
is like you watch teams in those situations where you know they need two, they've got the goalie pulled and they get one. Usually the celebration is very like dialed back, like, okay, we got one, but there's not much of a celebration because they're all looking up at the clock, getting back to the bench, like, okay, what's the play? There was like maybe
Hmm.
this is just me, but it felt like confident. Like they scored to make it
Yeah,
3-2. And you look at the huddle, they're all smiling and they're all like, no one looks nervous. They're all just like, yep, yep, one more, one more. Like they almost just like knew that they had it in
yeah.
them. I don't know. Something felt different about it.
Yep. And then obviously they force overtime. The overtime, I got to give Hellebuck some credit. Although he didn't face all that many shots, in my opinion, he played well. I mean, he dialed in. If that's, something that he can carry into round two, the Jets stand a chance here. But Adam freaking Lowry, the captain of the team, with a deflection and double overtime to send the Jets to the second round. Like, I'm just so happy for this guy. I feel like he's just a heart and soul grit player. His post game presser was so real and raw, and
Yep.
I'm happy for him.
Yep.
Yeah, well said. I think he stepped up big time. Nemesnikov steps up big time with no Scheifele. And oh my God, Neil Pionk, 40 minutes going into what, overtime? Oh my God.
I read
With no
he
Josh Morrissey in the lineup. So that's huge.
I read he had 59 shifts in the game.
That's insane.
Wow.
That's like fucked. Like, yeah, when you hear 40 minutes, it's like, okay, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, damn. But then you hear 59 shifts. You're getting on
Yeah.
the ice 59
Oh
times. That's
my
nuts.
God. Well, we were
He
Um,
pretty
hit,
damn close to triple overtime too, boys. I
yeah.
mean, I think
yeah,
there was only like 3 minutes and change when that went in or something like that, right?
And
yeah.
Pionk had the point shot too, right? That Lowry tipped.
He did, yeah. Pionk was a beast. Like Nick said, Morrissey got hurt, what, 2 minutes into the game or something crazy, didn't come
Yeah.
back, and they played the game without Scheifele. So that is a ballsy effort from the Winnipeg Jets.
Yep. Gotta hope that those two guys are not hurt too
Yeah.
seriously because you are going to need them against the Dallas Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a hell of a game, took the internet by storm. I mean, I can't say enough good things about that game. But then the night before, we also got a hell of a performance. Probably the closest thing I think we've seen in hockey to like a Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant type of like cold-hearted killer type shit. Mikko freaking Rantanen against his former team gets 4 points in the third period to lead the Stars to come back from a 2-0 deficit. And he did it for the second time this series, 4 points in one period. The only player in playoff history to do that. And what a freaking hockey game that was.
That was wild. Avs front office. Oh,
Fired immediately.
oof.
Fired.
Hurricanes front office. Oof. Like not looking great right now, boys. Sorry about that, but oh my God, what a performance by Rantanen. He has what 4 points in back-to-back games in game six and game seven, and he did both of those in one single period in each of those games, which is just crazy.
Yep. He had the hat trick in last night's game seven, too. I got to mention that. The empty net goal that he scored was his hat trick
Yep.
one. That was just wild to watch because after he scored his first goal, he didn't really celebrate. He didn't really smile. And I think I texted you guys. I was like, "Oh, here we go." And then in his second goal, he smiled, but he wasn't really like, throwing his hands up or anything. He was just like, "Yeah, we're gonna do it again." It was cool to watch because it's like he was staring at like almost the Avalanche bench the entire time. He looked possessed. I know they said
Yeah.
that on Chicklets, but it's true. Like he really did look possessed.
Yeah, and I think it was Ray Ferraro or maybe it was Boucher, whoever was down between the glass for that game after the hat trick goal when it was finally iced and he's got three and you know they're gonna win the game. I guess he skated on his way to the hand or like to get, high fives from his bench. He passes the Colorado bench and the reporter said he was like, I wish I could repeat what Rantanen just said, but I can't.
Yep.
But it was something along the lines of like, how do you like that, Colorado, or something like
Yep.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, and listen, I did not think I'd find myself in a situation where I'm kind of almost happy for Miko Rantanen here because I wanted the Avs to win. I love McKinnon, everyone knows this, but I'm almost like kind of excited. I'm like, okay, this is a great
It
storyline. This
was
is
it was
cool.
so badass. How can you not be pumped for the guy?
Yeah, I loved the I mean, first of all, the first goal, oh my God, the noise alone is just
Yeah.
hockey porn. So go check that out if you haven't. But the third goal is so funny. I don't know if you guys caught this. It's a breakaway onto an empty net. Like I think Makar was behind him, not going to catch him. If he does, it's a penalty anyways. This thing's going in. There's hats in the air before the
Yeah.
puck left
Yeah,
Yep.
Rantanen's stick. It's
It's awesome.
awesome.
talk
Love
about
that.
Yeah.
hockey porn.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw some other things that could be hockey porn in that
Yep.
that game,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah. Wonder why
we,
the Stars won, huh?
yeah,
Oh
right. But
man. 8-0 to Boer. How about or 9-0 now,
nine
right?
and zero
8-0.
Yeah,
now.
that is
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
9-0 and coming to us from Sportsnet stats. We mentioned Ranson had the hat trick, but his one of his 4 points, the game winner, he had an assist to Wyatt Johnston on the power play. We'll talk about the penalty here in a second. And Wyatt Johnston buries it from like basically the goal line. It was a wild angle. And he is not even 22 years old, and he has the fourth most goals in NHL playoff history for a player before turning 22. The only other players are some guys you may have heard of: Patrick Kane, Jaromir Jagr, and Sidney Crosby.
Not bad.
Not bad company at all. So we need to talk about the penalty because we all were talking about this in the group chat. The tackle, I can't remember who tackled. Was it Manson? Was it Josh
It
Manson who
was
tackled?
Jack Drury.
Okay, it was Jack Drury. You're right. The tackle that led to the game-winning goal. I've kind of changed my tune a little bit, but like, what do you guys think now that we've let the dust settle for a couple days?
Veteran play by Tyler Sagan. Like
Yeah,
he did enough to get tied up, I
yeah.
think. It's interesting when people say that you need to put the whistle away then. I'm a little bit more of the school of thought that like 5 minutes, call it. If we're down to a minute, if we're down to two, I can be a little bit lenient. Like nothing was going to get called in the final minute of that Jets Blues game last night. We just knew
Yeah.
that. But to a degree, I can kind of understand where people are coming from, but I'm leaning a little bit towards like, hey, maybe don't put yourself in that position to begin with.
I didn't get a chance to go back and take a closer look at it, but in the moment in the game, I felt like it was not a great call simply because of the timing in the game, the situation. It felt like one that the refs would let go and kind of had let go in other games this postseason. I also couldn't like, and again, this is where I probably need to go back and take a closer look now. But in the moment, it almost looked like they were both kind of like holding each other a little bit. Like it definitely it looked a little two-sided. That being said, I kind of agree with Nick. Like if you're Drury, like kind of what are you doing there? Like you
Right,
can't really make a play like that. Like it is a penalty, like by definition.
right.
Now, should it have been called at that point in the game? Whatever. We could go back and forth, but that's kind of how I saw it.
There's plays like that in the Caps, like all throughout the Caps Canadian series that just didn't get called. So it's a little all over the place right now.
Emergency timeout. We'll resume this in a second. The New York Islanders have won the draft lottery. Congratulations.
What?
No
Yep.
way.
Yep. I just got the text. We're recording this while the draft lottery is going on, in case people don't know.
Holy
Wait, what
crap.
was their percentage chance going into this?
I don't know, but I just got the text from our insider, Mr. Rangers fan, Mark Cortoraro, that the Islanders won the draft lottery. So back to continued scheduled programming because I know nobody listening wants cares and we want to get to the Caps.
They had the
Damn,
they had the
that's
10th best odds.
And they won it.
at least
They had a
Chicago didn't get it.
they had a 3.5% chance.
Damn. Lou must be kicking himself that he can't trade away this first overall pick right now.
It's a good
Yeah.
one. But back to regular programming. Congrats to the Stars. It was a hell of a game. I'm of the same school of thought as you guys. At first, I was like, you got to put the whistle away. That was a shitty call. After a couple days, it settled. It was a penalty. And you do to a certain extent have to call the game, otherwise guys are going to get
Yeah.
out of control. So I was all right with it after a couple days, but
I think the selling
Uh,
point for me was I saw the replay from the camera that's above the net, like that's above the glass, so like behind the net. It's directly in like the eyesight of like both the linesman and the official that's down low. So it's like one of them was gonna have to call it. Like you can't blatantly do something like that and then not call it. Like it's directly in their sign of light or light of sight, whatever. So
no, my brain.
words.
All,
Yeah.
we all got distracted after I dropped that bomb
I
of.
know, my
I'm
brain
still
is
trying
like
to process it.
melting.
I'm like, what the
Yeah.
Yeah,
fuck?
it distracted me.
Yeah.
I
By
don't
the
even
way,
have a GM right now.
Right.
pot potential first overall pick, James Higgins, Mr. Boston College, is from Long Island. That would be a
Wow.
hell of a coming home story. But
All right.
Is he gonna go first
Investigate.
though?
Investigate.
yeah, we're gonna move on to some round two previews here. Okay, so we're gonna start in the East, and then we'll make our way towards the West. But before we start these East previews, reminder that these previews are brought to you by Prop Tracker. It is your home for player prop research and finding outlier bets for NHL, NBA, NFL, and more. Once you find a bet you like, start tracking it and get notified on its progress, like shots, rebounds, or receptions. Go to proptrackerapp.com/emptybetters to try a free month of our Android or iOS app. All right. We're going to start with Florida and Toronto. This is going to be a very good series, in my opinion. Let's start off with the season series. Florida ended up taking that 3-1. Some storylines here. These two teams actually played each other in the second round 2 seasons ago when Florida went on their cup run to lose. If you guys remember back then, they took that one 5 games. Ekblad is suspended for non-steroid use and will miss game one of this series, which is probably in a half hour here. We're recording the same night game one is.
So he's suspended for not using steroids this time.
Correct. Like you know how
Correct,
like
yeah.
in the playoffs you just get like upper body or lower body. Going forward with suspensions for him, it's just going to be steroid or non-steroid related.
Got it.
The Leafs, they have the opportunity here to get to the third round, which they have not done since I was in first grade, 2002. It's been quite a long time. Mario Lemieux was on the cover of the PS2 version of
That's right.
NHL 02, which is the first game I ever bought. So yeah, it's been a while. Anthony Stolar is going against his former team, who he won the cup with last year, and then probably the best storyline. Brad Marchand, even though he's not with the Bruins, finds his way in Toronto yet again. This is going to be his fifth career series against the Leafs, and he has never lost one.
That's
Sure,
crazy.
he'll be welcomed with open arms back in
Oh,
Toronto's.
absolutely, of course. Yeah, this is gonna be wild, guys. I'm having a really hard time figuring out how the Leafs are gonna win this series because I really don't think they have a chance.
You and every expert on
Yeah.
NHL.com.
So I would love to hear from the guy who has said with authority in his chest multiple times in the last 48 hours that the Toronto Maple Leafs will win this series in 7 games. I'd love to hear the rationale behind that.
Yeah. And don't just say it's different this year or whatever. I want
It's
to hear you
different.
like actually unpack this shit.
So listen, are the Leafs as physical as the Panthers? No, they are not. I don't think that there's anyone that can compete quite to the same level as the Panthers. But that being said, I do not believe we are dealing with Charmin Extra Soft this year. I think that there's a little piss and vinegar in this lineup. I think there's piss and vinegar behind the bench. I trust Berube. I think this guy knows how to
I
win,
hear that.
clearly, right? He keeps him composed like we saw back in game one against the Sens when Mark Savard was freaking out, the assistant coach, and he was like, "You gotta calm down. We're here to."
Hilarious.
Yeah, like that's Chief. That's Berube. So I like that. I like what they have behind the bench,
I think
and
that's a
I
good point. I was actually thinking about Craig Berube in the shower the other day and how
As one does.
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Just exactly what you said. I was just thinking how that part of it does feel different this year. He seems confident. So they got
Yes.
that going for him. Continue.
And I have said this so many times. I feel like over the last 4 episodes, I love what they did with Carlo and Tanev. I think that makes a huge difference on the blue line. I think they have two guys who can clear out the front of the net with the Kachucks, the Bennetts, the Marchands. Those are big boys and they're mean. I like the physicality in the back end. Am I like telling you with 100% certainty I think the Leafs are going to win? No, but I think that they will win. I have probably above 50% confidence in that. I just feel like the vibes and then everything I just explained, they have the best player in the series too. I hate to say it, but Austin Matthews is the best player in the series if he's going.
On paper, I agree.
On paper,
Yeah.
we'll
Um,
see.
yeah, I don't know. I think to me, this just feels like Florida. I mean, I think without a question, Florida and Dallas are the two deepest teams in the postseason right now. And I just don't know if the bottom half of that Leafs roster and the bottom half of that Leafs defense core can hang for a full series against this Florida team. I think that's where I have a little bit of a hard time. Because the thing is, like,
Yep.
Carter Verhaeghe has not woken up yet for the Florida Panthers, and that guy is a playoff goal and point machine. So it's
Yep.
gonna happen at some point. And then I look at guys like Nylander who are good, but like, dude, are you allergic to back checking? Like,
Yeah, I mean, he has
Yeah.
you're
his
gonna need to do
glimpses.
that,
He has his glimpses. But I'll give you that. But I like the Leafs bottom six. I've been praising Bobby McMahon for a while. Max Domi, overtime winner in round one. That
that's
was
true.
huge.
Yep.
Lorentz played for these guys last year. He's gonna be fired up. And I like Yarncrook and Lawton. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
in. I think that they can hang.
I wouldn't even say it's a depth thing because I agree with you, Harry. I like a lot of those guys. I think we've talked about it already this year on the show that this is probably the deepest Leafs team in the
right,
Matthews era, and I think that's true. Um, I don't I don't know. I think it's hard because like watching that first round series that the Panthers played in. I it's hard to tell if it's that they were so dominant or if Tampa just like didn't come to play this year. You know
right,
what I mean? I kind of feel the same way about the Leafs. I almost don't know what we're getting because they did jump out to that 3-0 series lead. And I'm kind of like, was that a fluke because there were some overtime games and everything was so close, but then they were up 3-0? Like, I don't know. I think it's going to be really fascinating to see this series unfold. I don't think it's going to be as chalky as all the analysts think.
right.
But I definitely think that both of these teams are going to be surprised. I think they're both in for kind of a shock with each other, just compared to their like first round matchups, basically.
I will say this: if the Leafs pull this off, I think on paper it's going to be one of the biggest playoff upsets in the last 20 or 30 years. But I also think, hey, if they can do that, I don't think there's anything to stop them from going the distance at that point because
It
that's going
does
to
sort of
be,
feel like the
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
like just rip that monkey off your back, be like, okay,
Hmm.
two more series, we just did it, we can do it again.
Yeah.
There's a lot of second round monkeys in the remaining in the playoffs, if you will, and the
Yeah.
Leafs are probably the biggest culprit. I think the big key,
Hurricanes.
yeah, they're there too, but I think the big key factor here is we all have, seen that Toronto five forward unit. They got no D man on the power play,
Yeah.
and Tampa's power play was money all year, and Florida suffocated them. So that's gonna be where the battle is won or lost right there in that little matchup, in my opinion.
And I
Gotta be
also
careful
think,
about a shorty too. The cats love going the
yep.
other way with the puck.
Yep, I also think I know that Stolarz has been fantastic so far, but I'm not I still am not
Mm,
fully convinced that he couldn't fall off a cliff. I mean,
mm,
I know he's had a great year. I know he just had an excellent series, but he's still Anthony Stolarz and
mm.
he's not technically one of the top goalies in the league. He's just not.
Stanley Cup
And
winner, Anthony Stolarz.
yes, that is true.
How many
We
games did he start?
I think we found out he started
Zero.
none and he went into one and he let in like 5 goals or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Yes,
uh
it's fine.
but
Uh,
anyway, I'm just putting that out there. I know how good he's been, but I still give the goaltending edge to Bob.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah.
Last thing I'll say, I'll give like a little player to watch for each team. Sam Bennett is a menace. He's so good. And
Yep.
Puck Picks puts this on Twitter every fucking game. He bets him to get a point. It's like even money. It always hits. He's from Toronto, I believe, too, if I'm not mistaken. A little off. I think there's a couple rumors that they might try to target him as like their off-season acquisition. We'll see how that goes. But I think he's going to have a big series. And then Mr. Mitch Marner just had a kid, his first
He
kid.
did.
Little dad strength coming in here. I would love to see him have a big series because this is a the most physical team they're probably going to play, and we all know how Mitch does against the big physical Boston guys in years past. He is going to be under a microscope, and I think he can have a big series.
Did you see what he said about his wife, by the way, when they asked him about the kid?
No.
No, what do you
It
say?
was the most hockey guy thing of all time. You're literally being asked, like, how's your wife doing or whatever. And he was like, oh, she's been such a beast through the whole thing. Like, just a freaking like
Yeah, we just got to
gamer or
roll
something.
four lines, get
Like
puck
literally,
deep,
he
get the
literally
baby in the
called her a
crib.
beast. And someone was like, imagine calling your like newly non-pregnant wife a beast for having your kid.
Yeah, sometimes there's no off switch with these guys, but
Yeah, yeah. But
final predictions, fellas. Let's hear it. How many games? Who's winning?
Cats and six.
Cats and six. I'm in agreement. Agreement.
Leafs in seven. Leafs in seven. We'll see you in the conference finals.
See,
Who
the last
has
thing I'll say though is I don't know who I want to win the series just from like a Caps fan perspective. Like if I'm obviously just pretending that we get through this round, who would I want to play more? Because it's what we said about Toronto. It's like on paper, I like our chances against them better, and we actually handled them really well this regular season for the first time in like forever, plus the Carberry effect, whatever. But what we said before, if they get through this round, I don't know what's stopping them.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be going back and forth as the series goes on for me.
And as a hockey fan, like it's still funny to see them lose. I'm sorry. It
Yeah.
just still is kind of funny. So like part
there
of
is
me,
I don't know. There's a part of me that's like I kind of want them to win, like in a weird way. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm different in that regard, but
I like a lot of their players too. Like I like
yeah.
Matthews, I like Nylander. I don't know. I can't decide who I want to win the series. I guess just I hope it goes seven. I hope it's entertaining.
Yeah, well said.
And can the Leafs eliminate the Kachuk family entirely in back-to-back rounds?
Oh,
Another little
wow, that would be
storyline. But
wild.
anyways, we've got our next series, the one you've all been waiting for, the Carolina Hurricanes and the Washington Capitals. But before we start that, we have a word from an old friend who used to sponsor the show, who is back for the Caps playoff run. Nick, take it away.
Absolutely. You guys know this Caps Canes preview is brought to you by Dave Fritz, the mortgage whiz. In hockey, timing is everything, and the same goes for mortgages. Whether you're a first time buyer or refinancing, Dave helps you make the right move at home at the right time. No gimmicks, just smart advice and sharp rates. Check him out at Fritz the Mortgage Whiz on all socials. All listeners of the Empty Betters podcast will receive a free appraisal during their mortgage process, so be sure to shoot him a DM if you're interested. Go buy a house.
Yeah, tough market, fellas. You know, a lot of
Oh, it's
people listening,
brutal.
first-time home buyers. Use Dave; he's great. I've only heard great reviews, so go check out his social page. All right, Caps and Canes. Season series was 2-2. By the way, I forgot to mention this in the last matchup. Panthers minus 170, Leafs plus 145. That's a series price for this series. The Canes are minus 160 and the Caps are plus 140. We'll talk about that in a second. But the season series was 2-2. The home team won all four games, and it's worth noting that Logan Thompson only started one of those four games this year. Vibe check before we go dive deep.
Beefy. This is going to be beefy. If you thought Caps Habs was beefy, this is going to be
Yeah.
double quarter pounder. Absolutely beefy.
Yeah, I think they asked Wilson, they asked Carlson, they asked some guys about this in the last day or two, and I really liked. I think it was Wilson's answer. He kind of alluded to some of the beef that went on throughout the year between these two teams, especially at the end of the year, and said, like while this is different, you kind of try to put that kind of stuff behind you. It's all still kind of there, and like anytime you're playing a division rival, you see them, more than anybody else in the league. There's just hatred between these two teams. And they also asked him about like Orlov being on the team and like, their long history with him. And they were all like, "Oh, I don't give a fuck." They were
Yeah.
like, I think somebody was like, "Oh, I'll have no problem like putting him through a wall or whatever." Or
Yeah.
like, and they're like, "I'm sure he's going to do the same to me. Like, I know how he
Exactly.
plays." So
If
Yeah,
there was a, oh, sorry, you go, Nick.
it's beef that goes back a while. Like this is Southeast Division,
yeah,
like early 2000s hatred too. So it's been around for a minute.
If there was a bet, it might exist, but if there was a bet on which second round series will have the most penalty minutes, this would be my pick.
I could see
By
Yeah,
that.
that's
by
probably
far.
probably a good pick.
So we all know the storylines. The end of the season, some games got ugly because of that controversial Chatfield fight with McMichael, where he kind of threw the leg out on him, and then the next game things got weird. So that storyline's carrying over. Both these teams, you please, Caps fans, don't kill me. I acknowledge that Ovi has a cup. I'm only saying this because it's storylines. The Caps have only gotten past the second round once, so this would be pretty cool if they advanced. No denying that. The Hurricanes have gained a reputation of being frauds every year. I think they've got 7 straight years where they've won a playoff series, still never been to the Cup Finals under Brindamore. So they're looking to snap that. So
And they've
both
been
these
to the
teams,
conference final
2 times,
two
I think.
times, I
Yeah.
think.
Both these teams are horny. That's just the best way to
Yeah.
put it.
It's a good way to put it.
And I think the home ice thing that I mentioned earlier, the season series, home team won all 4 games. Carolina was the second best home team in the league this season, and they have not lost at home in the postseason yet. So,
I was looking at their I know it's tough to compare regular season stuff to postseason. I don't like to do it a lot, but just for shits and gigs, I was looking at the Hurricanes home and away records throughout the regular season. And because again, back to what you said about the odds, I was trying to just figure out why the odds would be like that. And I couldn't figure it out from the home away thing because the Hurricanes were not a good road team this year. They were pretty bad actually. So I think that's yet another reason like Caps have home ice advantage. I don't know. I'm obviously biased, but I think you'd be silly not to at least throw a couple bucks on the Caps at plus 140. I think that's a juicy price.
Yeah, same here. I'm kind of shocked this isn't like
It,
minus 115s across the board.
yeah, it feels like a pick 'em to me. It feels like a
Right.
classic
yeah.
coin flip of a series.
Yeah.
Guys, come on. We know our listener base. Let's get some reasons why you guys are going to win. Let's
I
hear it.
think Mac made some great points in our little preview reel that we posted today about calling a certain team in the series figure skaters. That's it's accurate. Like if you thought the Habs had a hard time going up against the Caps physically, I don't know what you're gonna get with Carolina. Like if I was Carolina, I'd be looking over at that Habs team going, "Oh crap. They're scrappy and they got outworked completely by the Caps physically."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I that's basically it. I've been saying it for weeks. I've been saying it since the end of the season where we had that beef with them. I keep calling them a team of figure skaters because they just I mean it's sort of a backhanded comment or a backhanded compliment is sort of the way I mean it because I'll acknowledge they've got a lot of skill, they've got a lot of speed, some star power. I know people like to say they don't necessarily have like an A1 superstar like this is the face of our franchise, but I think it works well for them to have like kind of a committee of skill with guys like Aho and Svechnikov and now Taylor Hall. I think he's been a great fit there as well. But with all that, you're missing what Nick just mentioned, which is who should the Capitals be afraid of on that team? Like from like a holy shit, this guy's on the ice. I gotta like I hear the footsteps coming. Like I gotta look over my back. Like there's nobody really like that.
They don't
Like
have it. No.
I think,
um
who they should be afraid of in terms of like offensive prowess on the ice is a little bit different.
yeah, yeah,
Guys like Aho, Svechnikov, you got to know when you're out there. You
for
would think
sure.
the Strome and Dubois lines are going up against them every single time.
Yep.
Um, I
Obviously,
think,
Stankoven's been great for them too.
yeah, and
We all know
Jarvis,
what Blake has done in
I would
his
put like
young
those guys
career.
and Jarvis in the same group. It's like you just got to shadow the crap out of them. But like
Yep.
guys like McMichael and Leonard, I'd really hope they go at those guys. Duhaime just like really make their lives rough, sticks in the
Yeah.
face after the whistle. Obviously, I don't want anyone to take any unnecessary penalties, but if you need to put Bauer on someone's, bicuspid, I'm okay with that.
I think one guy for the Caps who's played very well, and I'm not being critical when I say this, he's played very well, but in this series, he's probably going to have to find the back of the net, and that is Ryan Leonard. Because the
Yeah.
Canes can roll 4 lines. They're deep. There's no doubt. They might not have a big ace, but they've just got a bunch of pesky guys, especially in that third and fourth line, like
I would
Martinook,
agree.
Stahl,
Yeah.
all those guys. I think Leonard's gonna have like the Caps are gonna need that secondary scoring. He's played phenomenal, but he's gonna have to tickle some twine.
I
I would
agree.
agree with you. Yeah, and I think he's had a couple of really good chances. I actually thought he had his best chance in our series clincher.
Yep.
He had one or two really close calls that I thought he was gonna, and we were already winning, but I was hoping he would score just to kind of get some confidence there. It feels like it's coming because, like you said, he's played well, but I completely agree with you. He's gonna need to be one of the guys that figures it out. I I'm interested to see how the lines will evolve for the Caps
Yes.
because I'm not totally convinced that what we ran in game 5 against the Habs and what we've been running at the morning skates the last couple of days, I'm not totally convinced that's the way it's going to stay this whole series.
Yeah, I think another key indicator of how the series is going to go is how Alexei Protas continues to reacclimate himself because he's only played one playoff game. He didn't play a ton. He was playing fourth line in that game against the Habs to close that series out. So, definitely a guy you need to have. You mentioned secondary scoring. That's someone that you need to score, and he had a great season. So, would love to see that continue into the postseason for him.
And what's interesting is like you mentioned fourth line, he was on that line with Dowd and Duhaime, and the way they were deploying that line was as if it is our third line. And it kind of is, it seems, because the Mangiapane, Eller, Leonard line was getting fourth line minutes. So even though that's the way they stack the lines a lot of times, I'm pretty sure that Carbs and all of them kind of see that as our third at this point, and the Eller line as our fourth, just from like a deployment and minutes situation.
And I think that makes sense when you look at how good Nick Dowd was in that series against the Habs and how good Brandon Duhaime was in that series as well.
I do think that a big matchup in this series is going to be special teams, particularly the Canes' penalty kill and the Caps' power play. The Canes had the best penalty kill in the league. The Caps have the all-time leading power play goal scorer. So that's a great matchup right there. And then Freddie Anderson, we'll see. I'm reading that it looks like he's healthy. He played pretty darn well in round one. If he's healthy, that could also pose an issue for the Caps if he's on his game.
I still
Yeah,
have that like feeling that Kochetkov starts at least one game this series though.
I'm sure. Yeah, and I think the Canes PK. I was watching it a little bit in the Devils series and just towards the end of the season as well. It's scary to play against because they play an extremely active penalty kill. They don't sit back. They don't just sit in a box and force you to the perimeter. They attack whoever has the puck. So you have to constantly move the puck. If you are holding the puck for more than like 2 seconds, and that might even be generous, they're on you and they're clearing it. So I do like what I've heard from guys like Strom in interviews about the Caps power play coaching and that they're very meticulous. They study the opponent. They have different plans of attack for how to enter the zone against different teams and that sort of thing. So I trust them to come up with something that will be appropriate for that type of penalty kill. But I definitely think it'll be interesting to see.
And with all that being said, predictions. I don't
Caps
even
and
know why I'm
seven.
asking. I don't even know why I'm asking. Seven
Caps and six.
Like it.
on
I
the
hope you're
road.
right.
Yep.
Canes and six. Sorry, guys. Had
Wishful thinking, eh? You want us out so bad.
hear me out. I'm gonna put a little bit of fear into the Caps fans listening because that's kind of my like job, and then these two will battle me and they'll make you feel better. I've seen this in the playoffs so far. I think we all thought in round one, we looked at the Kings series and we were like, how is Edmonton favored? Ekholm's hurt, the whole team's hurt. If the Kings have home ice, they're the best home team in the league. What happened? Vegas got it right. Then we look at what was it last night? The Blues in game seven. They were like plus 150 at the highest price point. And people were like, oh, I'm going to take that all day. Bennington's hot. Hellebuck sucks. Scheifele's out. Morrissey went down live in the first 5 minutes. What happened? Vegas got it right. So I'm looking at this and I'm picking the Canes, not strictly, but this line is too fishy. There's something going on here. They know something that we don't. Just my opinion. I hope that scared some of
I
you
think
listening.
on paper that's a great argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fish is better in the DC Baltimore metro area than it is in North Carolina. So
Well said. I could smell that fish from here.
yeah.
We will see what happens, but we are going to move out west, and this is going to be a barn burner. We got the Edmonton Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights in what is basically a pick'em. It's the only pick'em series in the second round. These two teams split the season series 2-2. They actually played each other in the playoffs 2 seasons ago when Vegas went to the Cup. Eventually won. They beat Edmonton in 6 games in that series, if you remember. Uh, Man, what is like so weird about this is neither team really has an A1 goalie, and both of their goaltending situations were pretty shaky in the first round.
Yeah, I don't know why this one's a pick 'em because this to me should be the most lopsided like odds. I didn't This is the one series I didn't even think twice about when I was trying to decide who was going to win. I don't think Edmonton has a chance to win this series. Mostly because they're a bad hockey team. And especially because they don't have defense or goaltending. So, based on all those things, unfortunately, the also kind of mediocre Vegas Golden Knights will be getting a free round trip flight
Oh
to
my
the
God.
Western Conference Final, where they will hopefully be smoked by the Dallas Stars.
So the two teams who have represented the West in the last two Cup finals are both mediocre.
Mediocre.
Oh, Mac.
I
I love I
yeah, I
love
was
that.
like going back in my head about this one all day, and I agree. The line makes zero sense to me, but then again it did in the Caps Cane series, so what do I know? But yeah, I had a really hard time thinking about who's going to win this series, and I'm not really a huge fan of either team. I'm kind of tired with both of their shit over the last 5 years. This whole like, I mean, Vegas have been tired with their shit since they first made the playoffs. So let's be real there. But Edmonton, it's like, okay, kind of tired of like talking about McDavid the entire time. I'm tired about hearing about how he deserves a cup and how, Baby needs to get his cup and like it's better for the league. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Shut up and fucking play. Like, let's see what you're made of. Let's
Thank
see
you.
if you can
Yes.
stop the fucking puck this
Yes.
time. That being said, Oilers in six.
Ooh. Wow, already giving out
Wow.
predictions. Didn't not even
Wow.
not even into the analysis yet. Nick's already out
Yeah.
there. Well,
I
I will
don't
tell you.
think I want to hit Vegas with like the fraud tag a little bit because I don't think
Well, they
it's
are.
anywhere near what we've seen from Vegas teams in the past.
Really? Hmm.
Yep.
So I think you
Um,
will be right
how
if
many Vegas games you watched this year, Harry?
I watched all the first round, watched a couple late
Okay.
ones in the regular season.
Okay.
Doesn't take a genius to know that they're a good team.
Just making sure.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't stay up that late. People listening definitely know that. The first round was a little shaky.
Yeah.
I'm rattled after that comment. What
Just
was I?
messing with you.
No, it's true though. What was I gonna say? Oh, I think your Edmonton and six prediction will be right if we see the same Vegas that showed up in round one. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't like one of those series where you look at them and you're like, oh crap, they're kind of a wagon. Like, and I know a lot of that was down to Eichel and Stone not being up to their shit for basically the first 90% of that series, but Minnie held them honest. And I think that that's something that, you can't really let go of.
Yeah, I see it more as like I think Vegas, I don't want to say they like didn't show up to play in the first round. I think they were just a little startled by how like good Minnesota actually was. And I think that's more valid and understandable. The Oilers, let's be real, boys, they shouldn't even fucking be here right now. The Kings handed them that series on a silver fucking platter. They were basically down to their fucking rights, and they said, actually, we don't want to go to the second round. You guys can go. Like, what are we doing here? They're not supposed to be
You're
here.
not wrong.
They
That's
should
what's
be playing
crazy.
golf and booking tea times already.
Right. You're not wrong. They did kind of give them that series.
You know, I don't know. I think this is gonna be a tough one. I think this is gonna be a tough series personally. Um, it's kind of interesting because the top two scores for Vegas in round one, Hurdle and Eichel, they combined for the lowest point total out of all the teams for the top two scores. Then you look at Edmonton points every game. That's the part with Edmonton that's so hard is like all they need is 1 point from a depth guy, and they have 3 goals because the other 2 goals are going to come from these two. It's insane.
That, and I think they need Bouchard to stop sending the team the other way on like an express Amazon Prime delivery, ship puck to back of net kind of like transaction. So that needs to like settle down
It's a
ASAP.
it's a double-edged sword. He's the
Yeah.
leading point scorer of D-man that's left.
It's kind of like
Welcome back, Mike Green.
no, it's
Close
almost
enough.
like a worse version of Mike Green because he's not going to get you 30 during the regular season, and he's really going to hurt you in the postseason where it like hurts the most.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Mike
Uh,
Green was an Oilers legend, by the way.
True, he was. People forget.
Mm-hmm.
so with all this being said, what are we thinking?
I'm going
Other than
Oil in
Nick.
6.
And
Vegas. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask why.
My thing is like simply just the McDavid willpower right now. Like I think if one person out there can take over a series, it's this guy. I think if there's one team that Edmonton can use one guy to will them through a series against, it's Vegas.
Mac.
I want to say Vegas in 5 so badly, but
Oh.
I'm gonna stick with Vegas in 6.
Ooh, damn, you two are on polar opposite sides. I don't know. This is hard because the thing that's fucking with me is the last 3 games of that Kings series. It wasn't necessarily McDavid and Draisaitl. It was like Henrique was getting in there. Hyman was playing well. Frederick had a couple. Evander
Connor
Kane came
Brown
back.
scored a goal.
Connor Brown, like
Like
they all the depth looked
Thank
good.
you, Connor Brown.
All that being said, I picked Vegas to win the cup. I stand by that, and I think Vegas gets this one done in 6. Although it's going to be hard to imagine someone beating the Oilers in their own building because they just seem invincible in that place.
well, no one beats the Edmonton Oilers except the Edmonton Oilers.
This is true. This is true. Over under on McDavid points. What do you set the line at on this one?
For the series,
Yeah, he had 11 or he had 11 or 12 in the first round. I gotta look.
something like that. I like how that's like an off number for him too. It's just like a casual 11 or 12 in the first round, but
Probably like 12 and a half or something crazy.
let's go 15. I think this one's going a little bit deep.
Holy Jesus. 15 fucking points. I like it.
Hey, if Cam
Um,
Fowler can do it.
that fair point. Can't
Yep.
argue that one. All right, last series, the 2 teams of destiny. So clearly one of them is gonna not live up to that. The Stars versus the Jets. The Stars are coming in at -160, the Jets at +135. Split the season series 2-2. The big thing here is injuries. It really depends who's in, who's out. For the Jets, they've got Scheifele and Morrissey. For the Stars, they've got Heiskanen and J-Rob. So both teams kind of in a similar spot there. Their second best forward and their ace D man. We'll see what happens. What do you boys think?
I think the injuries, both of those injuries for both teams are incredibly significant. I think they're slightly more significant for Winnipeg because that's their number one center and their number one defenseman. And you're really going to need both of those to go up against Dallas. Like we saw Dallas get through a very talented and skilled Colorado team without their leading point scorer in the regular season and their best defenseman. We saw the Jets win one game without Scheifele and without Morrissey. I don't know, about a 6, 7 game series against the Dallas Stars if they can hang that long without Scheifele and without Morrissey in the lineup. I mean, it just seems like one of those things where eventually that Winnipeg decor is going to run out of steam.
All I could find on injury updates is that DeBoer says he expects Robertson and Heiskanen to play in this series. When, who knows? And with Scheifele and Morrissey, it's just too soon. There hasn't been any update.
So the goaltending battle in this is going to be fascinating because we've got probably the 2 leading candidates to represent the red, white, and blue in the Olympics next year. And one of them just had the most embarrassing series of his career, and one of them just had what some would say is a legacy series. So 2 trains going the opposite direction. Mac, you bet big on Hellebuck at the start of the postseason. Do you think now that he's got the monkey off his back, he got behind that series, that we're going to see like regular Hellebuck again?
I do think there's a chance that he's, he woke up this morning and kind of realizes, wow, I get to hit the refresh button. I sucked that whole series. My team helped me get through, and now I have an opportunity here in front of me to start from scratch at 0-0. It's a clean slate. So hopefully that's kind of the way he's looking at it, and hopefully he can get back to normal Helly because I think if he plays the way we all know he can, this could be a very entertaining series, and I think it could go seven even. But that's I mean, it's such a question mark. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think with Hellebuck, what the big takeaway from the last game is, I don't necessarily think he's going to go off and every game is going to be perfect now. I think there's still going to be situations where, hey, probably would love to have that one back. But I think after last night, hopefully what the message he took away from that is just relax, dial it back, focus, get your game together, collect yourself, take a couple breaths, water in the face, water down the back, and go from there.
Yeah, I feel that. I don't know. This feels a lot like Washington, Carolina in the sense that both teams are very due for a finals run. They're horny. I love using that word here right now, especially
I
Dallas.
I do feel happy that we know one of these teams will be in the Western Conference Final because I
Yes.
like that a lot. I think, like you said, Harry, both are just if you look at the last couple of years here, both deserve a chance to play for a chance to go to the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah. And I love the parallels with these teams. We just mentioned the injuries, kind of similar caliber
Yeah,
player going on there.
top
And then
D and a top scorer.
yeah, and then they've got these second D that are emerging into like these superstars real time. You got Pionk playing 59 shifts, and then you've got Harley and his coming
Yep.
out
He
party. Like
looks
there's a lot of
great.
a
Yep.
lot of similarities here, but their captains are kind of similar, big power forwards, not
Yep.
real first line guys.
Do you guys have
Um,
an X factor in this series at all?
I mean, for Winnipeg, it's obviously Hellebuck. We kind of just
yeah,
discussed that.
I'd go Ehlers too. Like hasn't really
Yeah,
done a
yeah.
lot, hasn't looked great.
Especially if
Coupled,
Shifley is still out, he kind of needs to be that dude.
yeah, he's got to. I mean, well, one, stop turning the puck over, but two, put it in the net. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just got to. That's what he's out there to do. It's got
I
to
was
happen
kind
at
of
some
hoping
point.
he had a chance to get that breakaway game winner
Yep,
last night. That would have been huge for him.
absolutely.
Benner made a great save though.
That was a great save.
I'm gonna go Duchesne for Dallas. He had a great
I like
regular
that.
season, kind of quiet in round one, and I thought him playing against his old team that drafted him, maybe it would wake him up a little bit. But this series, I think if he pops, like it's very over.
I
I want to
think,
see if I'm Dallas, I want to see Jamie Benn take this fucking series by the horns, man.
yeah,
You are the captain of this team. If you want your Stanley Cup and you want to kind of, I mean, he's almost probably getting close to end of his career here. I would think that if this guy wants one last kick of the can here, let me see another. Not that he's been bad or anything, but let me see another level from Jamie Benn. I want to really see him dig deep for the Stars this series.
I like that. I think that's probably one of the best chances he's had at the Cup ever is this team. Another guy for Dallas that I think could score a really big goal, maybe like a game tie or a big overtime goal, is Evgeny Dadonov.
Yeah.
Kind of up there. It would be great to see him get a cup too. I think he's like 36, 37, something like that. So
Daddy long legs. Yep.
exactly.
And shout out to Rantanen. Obviously, we talked about him in his Game 7 heroics, but he is leading the NHL in points after the first round. He is seventh all time in NHL points per game in the postseason, which is pretty insane. Yeah, this is gonna be a doozy for Winnipeg if they're not fully healthy. So, with all of this said, what are our predictions here?
Stars in seven.
Seven. Okay, another one.
I've got Stars in six, but I do think if there's so many variables, if both teams end up healthy and if Hellebuck is Hellebuck, like normal Hellebuck, there's no reason it can't go seven. And there's no reason I don't think that the Jets couldn't steal this too.
I'm gonna go Dallas in five. I just think.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think with they're getting healthy. Winnipeg's not. Their goalie's getting hotter. Winnipeg's isn't. I just feel like it's two trains going in different directions, and Dallas is probably the favorite to win the cup right now at this point.
I do love the idea of both of these teams coming off like just enormous highs of those of how those victories in their game sevens each went and then having to play each other. I think that's really awesome and I can't wait for game one.
Both of these crowds have been near the top. I mean, they have been electric to watch. Dallas has been great. I saw a really interesting piece today that someone posted on Twitter, and the name's escaping me. I'm going to have to look this up. And they were basically talking about how the Luka Doncic trade out of Dallas for the Mavericks is now contributing to people being so in on the Stars because they were so pissed about losing their superstar player for the
That
Mavs.
rocks. Yeah, that
Wow,
rocks.
that's interesting.
I mean, hey,
I believe
hockey,
it. It makes
we'll take all
sense.
the help we can get, right?
So Nick, you're the only one here that has the your cup winner and your bracket out. So I will
Oh,
allow
it's
you
toast.
to change who you think is going to win the cup now that we are starting round
Ooh.
two.
Oh boy. I feel like it's just a collision course for Dallas and Florida. And I think if Dallas gets
Mhm.
there, they'll do it this year.
Okay. Okay. To all you Caps and Canes fans, we've got fans from both teams listening. We know that all too well. So this should make for a fun one. And you guys got anything else before we wrap up?
Go Caps,
Let's
baby.
go, Caps.
All right, we will talk to you all later in the week, and we'll talk to you in the next one.